You know, this country captured 5 ISIS leaders, very prominent ones, behind a lot of attacks on American soldiers and elsewhere. In fact, in the case of 2 of them around the world in some European capitals. But it's getting very little attention. To be fair, a lot else is going on here, including the North Korea thing, the Iran thing. But former Deputy Undersecretary of Defense Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin notes that all of this is potentially making the world a safer place, if you only knew. General, good to have you back. How you doing?
I'm well. It's good to be with you.
When I was looking at these 5 guys captured, they're the baddest of the bad. I mean, it's a big deal.
These are bad people, Neil. There's a lot of evidence that all of these guys have been shown in beheading videos and videos of other atrocities that were committed by ISIS. So this is a big win. And I tell you, if I was al-Baghdadi, I'd either head for Cancun or make sure my life insurance was paid up, because he's next.
You know, I can remember, General, as can you, when we were, taking it to the Taliban, like Al-Qaeda. What happens with a lot of these, would we get relieved that we stop them or slow their advance? Then another nefarious, sometimes even more gruesome terror group evolves. What keeps you up at night? What worries you?
Well, this global jihad. What we fail to understand, I think, collectively, is that this is a global movement. It's not just ISIS and Al-Qaeda and Boko Haram. There are entities all over the world that consider themselves to be part of this global jihad. And we have to deal with this on a global basis, not just on a regional basis. And that is something that our previous administration really has had trouble with. I think Donald Trump is doing much better, but this is tough for diplomats.
You know, that old cockroach theory seems to always apply, General. I know you and I got into this in the past, that you get rid of them in one area, they pop up in another area. We thought that if we were to try to get them in Pakistan and all with the old Al-Qaeda, Taliban elements, and they popped up in other forms in other countries, Syria among them. How do you get a handle on this? Or is it the kind of thing we just always have to be aware of? This will always be with us.
Well, there's not a strict military solution to this. You're right. I mean, they moved out of the Pakistan, the Afghanistan border regions there, and they moved down into Africa. That's why we've got a huge problem in Africa now with ISIS-like, Al-Qaeda-like organizations there. And in fact, that's part of those soldiers that were killed. I mean, that was Al-Qaeda associates that killed them over there. So we need to understand that it is like, you can't kill them all. But I will say this. If we look at this from a global perspective and recognize that there's an ideology that is associated with this global jihad, we can deal with it a whole lot more effectively than if we think we're just going to go out and fight a war of attrition and kill all of the terrorists that are fighting because of an ideology that's 1,400 years old. Yeah,
it's a long, long time of hate. General, much has been made of the fact that the president has torn up this Iran deal, wants to start from scratch. Much of the European press, as I'm sure you're aware, with the French and the Germans and the Brits among those who signed on to this, along with the Chinese and the Russians, that was a horrific thing to do. What I took interest in seeing is that no one in the neighborhood affected, in the Middle East itself, not a one country of those, all those countries, not a one signed on to this. So they're there and they know the danger of Iran and wanted no party to it. And we tried to get them to be a party to it. What does that tell you?
Well, with the possible exception of Bahrain, which is 60 to 70% Shia, all of the Gulf countries, as well as Israel and Egypt, I might add, are all delighted that President Trump has taken the global leadership on this issue and backed out of this treaty. And I think that it's only a matter of time until you're going to see more positives coming out about what he's done here, because this was a bad deal from the start, and it hasn't gotten any better.
General, thank you. Very good. Very much.
Thank you, Neil.
All right. In the meantime,